Welcome back, and welcome to the Puppet Show. Today, Jocelyn is going to be played by the purple-eared puppy puppet. Sue is going to be played by the pink-eared puppy puppet. So, Puppet Show time. Hey Sue, hey Joss, what are we going to be doing today? We're going to be packing. Packing, fabulous. Where are we going? We're not going anywhere. We're going to be packing for our customers. Where are our customers going to be going? Well, our customers aren't going to be going anywhere either. We're going to be packing the items we send to our customers. Oh, well, why do we need to do that? Well, take a look at this. What is that? That is an empty container. Okay, what are you doing with an empty container? That is something I got recently from an Etsy seller. An empty container. Yes, exactly. It arrived empty. Just like that. Oh, that's not good. No, that is definitely not good. So we're going to have to talk about how we avoid situations like this. Ooh. Well, meantime, I guess the cat could play with that. Yeah, or puppy puppets could play with it. Let's take this and run and play. Hi. Well, there we go. And you saw this. This is exactly how it arrived on my doorstep. So, bad luck for the seller, but good luck for us, because this entire transaction had so many failure points, and there's so much we can learn from this. So, hang around, I'll be right back. Welcome back, and let's talk about this problem. This is the package just as I received it from an Etsy seller a couple of weeks ago. And this transaction began to go south before this even hit my doorstep. I had purchased a couple of items from an Etsy seller, and I inquired about shipping, and the seller told me that she was going to let Etsy decide on the shipping. They set the shipping, but if they overcharged, she would make a refund. Well, for starters, that didn't happen. Yes, they overcharged. No refund forthcoming. So by the time this landed on my doorstep empty, I already had a lack of confidence in the seller. For starters, we've discussed this, if you overcharge for shipping, your buyers are not going to be happy. I was overcharged for shipping. I was not happy. She said she would refund the shipping, which of course she did not. And so when this shows up, she doesn't get the benefit of the doubt from me anymore, because she's already promised something she hasn't delivered on. So that was 2 failure points before this even left her hands. 3rd failure point. This is a very good container for shipping paper. Now, you take the paper, you roll it up carefully, you pop it into the container, it unrolls and then hugs the inside of the container, doesn't get wrinkled, and it doesn't slide around because, of course, friction keeps it in place. You put a lid on it, you tape it all the way around, which she did not. And the reason you tape it all the way around, and we're going to discuss this when we talk about how to properly pack, is because some kinds of tape, including this is Duck brand Easy Start tape, my favorite, because I hate having to pick tape off the roll. This does a very poor job of sticking to paper or cardboard, but it does an excellent job of sticking to itself. So you always wrap it around and stick it back onto itself, and it will hold very well. So, container by itself is failure point number 3. Improperly sealed, failure point number 4. And when I notified the seller that the container arrived empty, this is failure point number 5. Her job at that point was to say, don't worry, I'll take care of everything. Something obviously happened, but she knows it's her responsibility to get the items to me in one piece and not leave them somewhere on the road between my house and her house. Also, later, she did in fact mention that the items were wrapped in tissue paper. She didn't mention any other packing materials. So we had yet another failure point. You don't just throw something in a container, slap a lid on it, and let it rattle around, which in fact may be how this lid came off in the first place. You need to use packing materials and make sure that the items in your container are secure, that they're not rattling around, that there is enough air pillows, bubble wrap, peanuts. Oh, yes, I have peanuts, so that your package is completely full. Airspace is rattle space, and rattle space is potential damage. So, as I say, another failure point. The next batch of failure points were in customer service. When your customer gets an empty package, you have to deal with it. And of course, she did not. But as I say, she had already lost the benefit of the doubt from me, so I could see from the outset the direction this was taking. And I let it play out until eventually she said, well, you can go to your post office and fill out forms, because my post office told me there are forms you can fill out and they'll give you your money back. No. Her post office did not tell her that, because there are no forms to fill out. The post office is not responsible for uninsured items that fall out of an improperly secured package. That's just sheer nonsense. So the situation did get resolved, because, as I have said many times, when you do business on Etsy, you need to use PayPal, because they will protect you. And of course, I let PayPal know. At that point, I had all my documentation together, including an email from the supervisor of my local post office confirming that an empty package was delivered. And once I gave the information to PayPal, their process is to freeze the funds in her account. So she made the refund, because at that point she really didn't have a choice. Although she did send me a final email complaining that I had gone to PayPal instead of letting us resolve it amongst ourselves, which we were 2 weeks into it. It was not happening. She still seemed to think that it was my responsibility to deal with this. Now, I'm sure a lot of you are playing this out in your heads. If you were the seller and you were dealing with a situation like this, and you're saying to yourself, well, this is where I would have stepped in, this is what I would have done. And that's good, because our seller here lost the item. I don't know where it is. She lost the postage she paid for the item. That was out-of-pocket expenses. She lost the sale, so all the money that I paid her, and she lost a customer. I still have not left a review for the transaction. I honestly, I don't think she learned anything from this experience, and I don't actually believe she's going to learn anything from a negative review, so I really don't think that I'm going to do something spiteful and ding her reputation for it. I think stupidity is its own punishment. And frankly, she really didn't make out on this. I'm hoping she learned something from it, but she doesn't seem to have learned anything throughout the process, so I doubt it very much. However, we can learn something from it. Now, one of the things that could have saved the entire situation for her is if she took that money she got when she overcharged me for shipping and simply put my items into a small, flat rate, priority mailbox. It wouldn't have come open. If it did come open and had been delivered empty, those boxes, all priority mailboxes, come automatically with $50 in insurance. The sale was somewhat less than $50. She would have lost the shipping because they do not compensate you for shipping, but the actual costs of the item, she would have gotten that back. So that's the first lesson we need to learn, is if your customer is willing to pay priority rates, give them priority shipping. It's better for everyone. So let's just set this aside, and we're here. Actually, the cat's running around here. He probably will end up playing with that. I have some items here, and we're going to talk about how to pack them, because in fact I have two different types of items. The first is this that you see before you, and this is a tea set. The reason this is a good candidate for a nice packing lesson is because we have 6 cups, a teapot, and a lid. We have 8 pieces all going in the same box. They're porcelain, which means they are fragile. They are going to have to be packed. And when you pack multiple items in the same box, you do it differently than you would do a single item by itself. And the first thing is first things first. You put together your box, tape on the bottom. Notice what I have in here. I have 2 pieces of thick bubble wrap. I love this particular kind of bubble wrap. You get it usually with large shipments with heavy items, because this is perfect for lining the bottom of a box. And so many times when people pack something, that's the part they forget. They wrap up their items in bubble wrap, stick it into the box, but there is nothing between their item and the bottom of the box except for here, this little itsy bitsy flimsy piece of bubble wrap, and that's not going to do the job. So you want to line the bottom of your box first. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to start packing our items individually. We're going to wrap them. It doesn't matter which side of the bubble wrap. It's like there's no real inside or outside. It's going to work the same no matter how you do it. I just happen to like keeping the bubbles toward the item. And the reason for that is because I don't like to overuse tape when I pack. So I got this all wrapped, and now here's my tape, and it's easy start tape, so I just need to find, here it is. There we go. And that's why I use this tape, so that I don't have to muck around with it. Got this all together, and I'm going to secure this with a single piece of tape, and it's a small piece of tape. The reason that's important is because I've received a lot of packages, and I'm sure you have, where there's just so much tape on it that the only way to pull your item out of this bubble wrap package is to take a sharp knife and cut through it. If you do that, you run the risk of damaging your item. You do not want your customer to damage the item while they're still unpacking it, because in fact they're going to blame you for it. If your customer cannot even get their item out of the box without cutting it with a knife or ripping it and sending it flying all over the kitchen floor, they are not going to be satisfied with the transaction. So you need to keep that in mind, because even a very, very honest customer, someone who's not attempting to defraud you, is going to look at items damaged while they're taking them out of the box as your responsibility. All right, so this, and I'm just going to go through that with the rest of these. As I say, I like the bubbles on the inside. It just makes it easier to tape, and it makes it a lot easier to remove the tape, because you're removing the tape from a flat surface and not from a whole bunch of little bubbles. And let's get this going. A whole bunch of these. And I've already pre-cut my bubble wrap, as you may have noticed. This roll of bubble wrap is not perforated. I like the perforated rolls. But again, as I've told you before, I get my bubble wrap for free. So sometimes I get good bubble wrap, sometimes I get the kind I have to cut. Oh well, it's free. I'm not going to complain. So when you wrap small items, these are Rose Canton teacups, by the way. Interesting, because they're a little taller than average. Something I like about them. When you wrap small items, you need to make sure that you have enough bubble wrap to secure them, but you don't have to go completely crazy. In other words, I don't have to wrap this like to within an inch of its life. Within an inch of its life comes later, when I start packing the box. That's when there's no breathing room left for anybody. And most people who have gotten packages from me will notice immediately that the package looks like it's pregnant and that it is straining at the edge of the box. And that's because the safest way to pack your items is to pack them tightly. You want to make sure there is as little space as possible between your item and the box. Let's see. Scissors. Now this is a little more difficult to wrap than the little cups, mostly because it's a very odd size, and I am going to wrap this around a little more, just because I want to make sure that I have it completely covered. And this one is probably going to have 2 pieces of tape. Yep, I just don't see any way around that. But again, less tape is better. You want only as much tape as it takes to completely secure your bubble wrap. You don't want your customer to have to fight with the package, because that is just dangerous. All right, so we're going to have to put a piece of tape in there. Now, notice, I am not wrapping this. This is a bamboo handle. This is not breakable, so I really don't need to worry too much about that. It's the porcelain I have to worry about. Now, I'm going to start loading these into my box. Now, let's see if I can show you. I'm setting the teapot on its side. Maybe that will help. See, it's just going to be sitting on its side, and it's not going to be right up against the edge of the box. No, that's not going to go in yet. For this, I am using styrofoam peanuts. Ordinarily, I do not like peanuts. Let me get those sides down so you can see the peanuts going in. I don't like peanuts. The cat chases them. They're a mess, and they always end up all over the place. But for something like this, peanuts are probably the easiest way to go. Let's just get in there. A whole bunch of peanuts. Peanuts are falling on the floor. The cat will be by to play with them soon. Now that I have the box about half full with peanuts, I'm going to start loading these smaller pieces in. And I'm going to keep them pretty far away from the teapot, because the reason I'm using peanuts is because they're going to go in and they're going to cover the area all around the porcelain pieces. Porcelain will not be banging up against porcelain at all here. The fact that they are covered in bubble wrap is only part of the process. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right, this one, last one. That's only part of it. They all need to be separated from each other. So, dump these in. Okay. There's our beautiful mess. Ooh, forgot you. This is our teapot lid, which I'm going to tuck in here. Now, as you can see, we are pretty full. Nope, not quite. Okay. There we go. Same thing with the heavy bubble wrap again. Now, here comes the fun part. This is where the package gets packed to within an inch of its life. This is not going to be an easy job taping this shut. And I really need 4 hands to do this, but stay. There we go. All the way around. Right over the tape on the bottom, right back around again, up to the top, taped to itself. This is not rattled. That's always my final check. Does it rattle? Can I actually feel or hear any movement? Nothing is moving here. Nothing. So that means it's secure. And yeah, it's bulging. My packages always look like they're a little pregnant, but they come through safely because it's that overpacking that really does it. So that's what we've got here. Now we're going to do another piece, a larger piece, and a larger piece is going to be handled differently. I won't be using peanuts because, as I say, I don't like peanuts. I'm sure the cat's chasing them around already. Peanuts are extremely good when you need to put a packing material inside, in between little objects. It's very hard to get air pillows in there, and that's my preferred packing material. So we are using peanuts. Not my first choice. In a situation like this, though, absolutely. So, we're going to pause for a moment. I'm going to get another piece and we're going to show you how to pack a larger, heavy piece using different materials, okay? Hang on, be right back. Okay, we are back, and as you can see, we are under an absolute sea of packing materials here. Now, once again, we're going to take some of this larger, heavier bubble wrap. We're lining the bottom of our box. And this, by the way, is the same box I just poured those styrofoam peanuts out of. And now we are going to start wrapping our item. And it's this. Remember this? This was our giveaway from the last contest, Name the You-Know Shade. Well, we have our winner, so we're going to make sure she gets her prize, and we're going to make sure that it's in reasonably good shape when it gets to her. So, we are wrapping, let me get this out of the way so you can see. We are wrapping this in bubble wrap to protect it. And because this is an odd little shape, we are probably going to need more than just a couple of pieces of tape. But again, I'm going to keep the tape to a minimum because we don't want our contest winner to have to fight her way through to get her lamp. Now, there we go. All right, that will do. Now, a piece like this that has a very odd shape requires a little bit of creativity in the wrapping. All you really need to do is make sure that it's covered so that it's not damaged. Now, I have a cord here that I'm going to cover. By the way, that is optional. You can leave the cord out. The cord, like the bamboo handle on the teapot, is not going to be damaged. So, we've got our box lined. I'm going to throw some air pillows in here. And, okay. It looks like we are about 3 air pillows wide on this box. So I'm just going to layer them in. So as you can see, we've got the heavy bubble wrap on the bottom and then a layer of air pillows. Our lamp is going in on top of that. And now it's just a question of packing it completely with air pillows so that nothing is going to jostle or damage this. Now, I'm making sure to put air pillows in between the lamp and the sides of the box. So the lamp is in the middle and it's being surrounded by air pillows. They're going in on the sides as well as the top. And I'm just shoving them in there. If there's a little spot where I can stick an air pillow, it's going in. All right, that's pretty good. Yes. And now this is our heavy bubble wrap again. And we're going to take 2 sheets. These are perforated about a foot apart. So if you take 2 lengths, it fills the box rather nicely. Now, squish, squish. No. There we go. And once again, it is overfilled. It is stuffed to bursting. Okay. Same thing as before, all the way around the box. Our tape is actually acting the way rope or twine would have acted, in the days before tape when you were putting a package together. It is securing it. Shake, nothing is happening. Now, of course, when I put these into the mail, I keep a red Sharpie and I write fragile on every side of the box because you just never know which way the box is going to show up. These, by the way, let me show you this. Can you see this right here? Large mailing box. I don't know if I'm sending these out as large flat rate boxes or just regular priority. That's what I have this for. This is priority mail tape. You get it for free from the post office. You go right into free shipping supplies. What I've found over the years is sometimes they'll send you a massive roll like this. Sometimes they'll send you small rolls. Sometimes you'll get 3 or 4 rolls, and they're kind of leftovers. I don't think the post office is especially picky about what they send out to you. But then again, I'm not picky either. I use this tape to cover up the large flat rate box if I want to send it out by regular priority. And by the way, post office has no problem with this. This is one of those things that they let you do. They'll even do it for you if you bring the box in. Because I did get a lot of flack from people saying, oh my God, you're telling people to illegally use postal boxes. No, I'm sorry. There are no postal police. At worst, the misuse of postal boxes, it's not a crime. Police do not come to your house for it. It's a question of what the post office is going to deal with. Oh, and by the way, I heard back from a number of mail carriers about the video about shipping supplies and using boxes. Not a single word, not one. But you know what they were talking about? They were very pleased that I spoke well of my mail carrier. And I thought about that, and it just seemed so odd to me that that would be such a big deal to them until I realized that people probably don't say very nice things to or about their mail carriers as often as they should. Because the truth is, the mail comes 6 days a week. It comes in terrible weather. It comes in the dead of summer. It comes in freezing winter. And it comes with such regularity that we absolutely take it for granted. So if you have a good mail carrier, make sure to thank them for what they do. Because I have a great mail carrier, and she knows that, we are crazy about her. And if you're lucky enough to have someone who does a good job of delivering the mail, or in the case of my Jessie, she keeps an eye on the neighborhood. If she feels one of my elderly neighbors hasn't been out to collect their mail in a day or two, she'll let me know so I can go over and check on them and make sure they're okay. Which is also great because she's not knocking on their door and being intrusive. She's letting me do it because I'm a neighbor and I can go over and say, oh, hi, haven't seen you in a couple of days, or, oh, I need to borrow a cup of sugar, or whatever, when in fact what I'm doing is making sure they haven't fallen, broken a hip, and are laying on their kitchen floor. So sometimes the mail carrier is the only person who's going to realize there's something wrong, within a reasonable period of time. But I found it interesting that that was the point. They were so interested in themselves that I like my mail carrier. And, well, I adore my mail carrier. So this is how we pack. Be kind to your mail carriers. And tomorrow, when we get back together again, we're going to talk about chalkware lamps. I've gotten some questions about that, and I thought that would be a really good project because you all saw the chalkware lamps that I used as part of my choosing the right shade demonstration. Well, tomorrow I'm going to show you how to completely restore a chalkware lamp. So, we'll see you then. Meantime, happy packing.